Hi, sorry for taking 5 months break. Let's continue our story. In the distant memory, Enid recalled that someone had tried to harm him. He was at the edge of the stairs, even pleading to the noble guy why he was doing this. His face had turned pale as if blood had drained out. That person held his shoulders tightly and looked menacing. Enid flinched as he knew that any moment he could fall down. But the truth hit him hard. That person had pushed him from the top of the stairs cruelly. Enid recalled that person was a bit weird. He told Gro that he pushed him off the stairs once. Gro was horrified to hear that. Enid thought hard, but he couldn't remember how it got to that. His memories were a bit hazy. Gro asked him if that person was punished or not. Enid flashed a small smile and told him that, of course, he wasn't. He believed that he was a son of a count or something. He used to curse at Enid for just looking at him. He sure bullied him a lot. He pushed Enid, tripped him, and in the end, even pushed him off the stairs. Enid chuckled that the funny thing is that he was terrified and carried Enid on his back and ran over the temple crying as he passed out, falling from the stairs. Gru listened to all of it about a noble kid who looks down on commoners, then asked Enid how old he was at that time. Enid recalled that around 16 maybe. Gru then asked him how old that person was. Enid replied that they were the same age. Gru's mind was going somewhere as he analyzed. 16-year-old boys. It is when their sexual curiosity begins to bloom. The country regards homosexuality as a sin. He might have bullied Enid to deny his feelings for him. Well, Gru hits the bullseye. He analyzed the psychology very well. Then he asked if he remembered something else. Enid thought hard. Come to think of it, when he graduated, that person had come to him for his notes. Seeing his firm attitude, Enid reluctantly agreed to give him the notes, as it was not something important to Enid. He gave it to him and said he could throw it away if he couldn't read it. Enid was little embarrassed about discussing his writing. His penmanship was terrible, so he felt quite awkward when the noble guy asked him for his notes. Gru's mind was full on detective mode. He asked him if he ever contacted Enid after graduating. Enid was surprised that how he knew that and nodded in affirmation. He had gotten a letter from him. When Enid told him about the letter, Gru asked him what it was about. Enid replied that he had offered him a job. Gru looked at him intently. Enid continued that he had asked him if he was interested in working for his family and sent an address to come for an interview. Enid didn't know if that guy knew that he was having trouble getting a job or not. Gru was now sure that coward guy didn't even have the guts to face his feelings nor the courage to apologize for his actions. The best he could do was take away a notebook. Thinking that, something clicked in his mind. Wait, if he offered Enid a job after having completely isolated him, could it have been? Gru hurriedly asked Enid about the interview. Was it a place where other nobles would come too? Enid was again surprised by Gru's brain as to how he knew all of that. Enid told him that he was asked to come to the noble hall. Gru's fist tightened as if his heart was squeezed. What a typical method. Nobles in the hall wouldn't know or even care about the details. They will probably think that it was Enid who reached out to that guy first. In that case, no one would have accused that guy for doing something dirty to Enid. People would have laughed at him that he had walked in with his own feet. Then it was obvious they would have accused him a dirtbag who wanted something back. Gru imagined as he was witnessing the people laughing at Enid and enjoying themselves. His jaw tightened. Well, let's say Gro's imagination is stretched too far, but that doesn't change the fact that the guy was a scum who attempts to make Enid rely on him. Gro restrained his emotions and asked Enid what he did with that letter. Enid smirked and replied that he ripped it apart. Well, our Enid is savage in his own way. Gro was surprised and asked him why. Wasn't he struggling to get a job? Enid replied coolly that he knew that guy was just trying to embarrass him. He chuckled. What else could it be? Why would a man who pushed him off the stairs suddenly offer a job? If he had gone there, he would have become a clown for them to laugh at. Hearing that, Gro was relieved. Enid continued that after that incident, he left the city and settled down here in the outskirts. He had figured that there was nothing more left for him in the city other than humiliation. It was dark time for Enid, thinking that was all those years of effort just for being treated like a trash for 11 years? Even my heart is aching for our Enid. He had suffered too much. Enid was thinking all of that when Gro asked him if he remembered his name. Well, his name. How could he forget that? Warabas, Enid replied, as he didn't remember his last name. Gro was angry. He had a glint in his eyes that someday, if he ever got a chance, he would like to give that man a chance to get his revenge. Enid looked at him in puzzled manner that why Gro was asking his name. Looking at his face, Enid smiled, thinking that Gro sure looked mad, as if he was thinking about taking revenge on that guy. Enid imagined that if Gro and he had been in the academy together, then Gro would have always protected him. Like, who bullied you? Give his name. I will beat him up. What a sight. It could have been a different 11 years. Thinking that, he laughed, and Gro became puzzled as he asked why he was laughing. Enid brushed it off, chuckling that it was nothing. He leaned towards the window, looking outside as people were busy in their own world. Suddenly, he saw the 8 or 10 years old boy's silhouettes which looked familiar to Glunn. He shouted to stop the carriage and hurriedly walked out of it. He called out the boy loudly and then he reached out to him and grabbed his shoulder. When the boy looked back at him in puzzled manner, Enid paused because the boy was not Glunn. He was someone else. Enid apologized for the misunderstanding. Gro approached him and asked what it was. Enid smiled at him and said it was nothing. He mistook that boy for someone else. The boy with brown hair he had talked about earlier. He told Gro that his name was Glunn. Hearing that, Gro flinched. He quickly masked his expression and asked him if he was still looking for that boy. Enid replied that he would like to find him if he could, as he needed to keep an eye on him. Hearing the last sentence, Gro was stunned. He looked suspiciously at Enid and asked what he meant by that. His voice was definitely lowered by some degree, but Enid didn't notice that. As Enid was about to tell him about the mirror, that the boy was shown in the mirror as a person related to his future spouse. But he paused as he imagined that Gro would look at him with contempt, as if he was stupid for believing that. So he changed the answer at last minute, saying that it was quite complicated. Gro was now more suspicious about Enid, thinking that his first impression on him was correct or not. He tightened his fist at his own stupidity for letting his guard down for too long. He must interrogate him before he returned to a boy again. He couldn't have had any training to endure torture. Pulling out 1 or 2 nails will be enough to make him start talking. He would easily give in. Gro imagined Enid's disheveled state begging him and crying, which terrified him. He felt as if someone was cutting his heart with a blunt knife. His hand trembled. It was strange. A simple job as pulling out a few nails of Enid feels like an impossible task for a man who used to hang dead bodies of an assassin on the castle wall. When Enid called him, he came out of his reverie. Seeing his pale face, Enid was a bit worried. He asked him if he was okay. Gro brushed it off, saying that it was a minor migraine and he was okay. Enid tried to give him a potion which could help with migraine, but Gro refused that, saying he just needed a little air and he would be fine. Enid stared at him intently, which made Gro blush. He was thinking why Enid was staring at him. Was he onto something? Enid put his hand on his chin, looked at Gro. He told Gro that he was thinking that he and that brown-haired kid, they both look alike, very much alike.